I'm Natasha, and this is Culture Vegan. Our newest addition to the channel is called Around the Table. You're gonna get an opportunity to come into my home and join me and some very special friends of mine, vegans from around the world, for dinner. Come on in and check this out. So how do you guys handle when you date someone that, first of all, who here dates non-vegans or would marry or is married to a person who's not vegan? Anybody?
I date non-vegans, or I have. Yeah, me too.
So how was it?
I became really serious with someone, so that part definitely was something we had to balance. But I learned to respect him and his desires if they were... it gets tricky, to be honest, but when you love someone, you're willing to work with them towards the understanding that, you know, they can treat themselves better over time, you know, with feeding themselves better, I guess. But yeah.
So what about when you date somebody that's not vegan and then y'all have children, and then he says he wants the child to eat meat, and you saying you don't want the child to eat meat? How would you handle that situation?
In a way, I would just be as truthful as possible with the child and then let them decide. I mean, I know it'll definitely get tricky because I'm young and I may not know as much when it comes to motherhood, but I just have the strong belief that my child would understand the difference between right and wrong when it comes to cruelty and food and nurturing yourself. Or I would want to teach them that, you know, how
cruelty. Like, what does your mate say when you talk about cruelty to animals and he's like, eating hamburgers and french fries and he believes that you should eat it?
Well, honestly, if it comes to the child aspect, I mean, I would have such a huge influence to try to get them to understand that, you know, meat and dairy is not good for you.
Why do you say meat and dairy is not good for you? Like, what do you tell your mate? Because we're taught, you know, in the first grade that you gotta have your milk break so your bones will grow, and you gotta have your milk and your calcium, and you're not gonna get enough calcium unless you have your milk. And we had 3 milk breaks a day, and they just gave us so much milk. So what do you tell a person and you're saying milk and cheese? What else did you say is not good?
Honestly, I think that might end up being something that I find to be a lot harder than I think. And I'm willing to admit that.
That's good. That's the first step, if you're willing to admit that it may be a conflict, because it's about like religion. When you have two people that have two different religious beliefs and then you try to raise children. I think it can work with a non-vegan and a vegan. It's just going to take a lot of work.
I don't think that you can be vegan and have sex with somebody who isn't and maintain that integrity.
That's
because we're porous, right? We're porous. We're not solid beings. We're water-based beings. All right. So that if you have been vegan for a number of years, and if you've been cleansing, you understand, now everybody that changes their diet is not really cleansing, even though the body is intelligent enough to start cleansing. But then if you are sharing body fluids with somebody who is not, who's still eating meat, that means you're getting that too. You know what I'm saying? So I know most people don't.
Oh wow.
So I can comment on it.
So I'm not really vegan after all.
There were a couple of serious relationships I was in, and these guys were considering marriage, and I just wanted to let them know that, you know, we would be raising our children on a plant-based / vegan diet / lifestyle. And that's something that I was very upfront about. And, you know, and so that gives them the opportunity to either warm up to the idea of it, or, you know, by giving it a chance, or that could just be like a deal breaker for them.
But don't you think you would be setting yourself up for failure when you date someone that's not kind of like you're not vegan, you're very strong about your beliefs, and then you date somebody that's not, you're not setting yourself up to fail?
No, not at all.
Why do you say that?
Because we evolve. You know, to me, it's giving that person an opportunity, just as I would be giving that person an opportunity if, you know, they're not a creative person, you know? And it's like, okay, well, you're not a creative person, but, you know, you're amazing in all these, you know, other ways, and you have all these other attributes, so let me give that a chance.
But do you want to start out with conflict? Like when you're going into the relationship being different, you're starting out with conflict. When you're already going to have so much conflict being married, you're already starting out with it in the beginning of trying to figure out how you're going to eat. Something as simple as eating, you're already going to be in conflict about it. So me being divorced now and knowing what I know about marriage, I most definitely would say do not go into a conflict, because you're already going to have enough problems as it is. And it's enough like-minded people now like you that you don't have to have somebody that's not like-minded. So go in it as a unit. Let the division be something else besides something you already know is going to be a divide in your marriage, because that's going to be a divide.
And for me, it's just not gonna work.
At a point,
I just don't have time. I don't have a headache. I've done
It's
it.
a lot.
And 3 times a day, you're gonna have an argument if you're eating 3 times a day, which I don't now. I don't eat 3 times a day now, but in the beginning of my transition of becoming vegetarian and then becoming vegan, you know, I did breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I had a mate every morning, every lunchtime, every dinner, it's gonna be some kind of problem. And a lot of times they're used to, people that eat meat, they're used to eating out and being able to stop and not going through all that we have to go through to find a restaurant if we eat out, you know. And so there's the argument right there. We gotta go through all of this because of you eating funny and da-da-da-da. It's just too much negativity and drama. And then eventually, once I really got on a certain path, I don't even attract people who eat meat. And so, why are you vegan? Is it your destiny to be vegan?
I think what it came down to, and this may be like an odd perspective or just very different, but it came down to me caring so much about the animals. And I'm on a journey with my self-confidence, but the one thing I very much am is defensive about, and very empathetic, and I can't help that part of me. So I decided to embrace it, and I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. And I think with animals, because I don't know, just animals, it was one thing where I feel like it was something that I could, you know, help influence people to be better about their perspective of animals. I think it's very like overlooked, and I don't like excuses for cruelty. So with anything, but really, I don't know, animals, it kind of fit well with me to help kind of be that voice.